I'm John David Birdall,
And I'm Zack Coleman.
and this is Comic Space, the only place in the whole galaxy where you can tune in, where you can geek out, and where you can learn something new about comics every week. Hey, Spacers, this is John David Birdall, and I'm here with Zack Coleman. Zack?
Hello.
Hey!
How's it going?
Oh my gosh. So we do hope that you grabbed your blasters or your lasers and your laser swords, because you have found us here at Comic Space. And I am just going to dive right in to a question. Okay, what if there was a TV series called What If?
Well, you don't have to say what if anymore, John. It's here.
Yes, exactly. And so what are your thoughts on that, Zack?
I've always been interested in being a storyteller like I am. We're always asking ourselves the question, what if? What if this were to happen? What if that were to happen? It's sort of our bread and butter. And the fact that they're doing this is really cool. Just to see, what if this happened? What if that happened? What if things turn differently? And to see the drastic change from turning right or left, referencing another what if story from Doctor Who. So yeah, I'm all for it. Wait, hey, did you see the episode yet? Or
Yes, I saw the episode, and you know what? I had been looking for more. I do believe that means that I was rather interested by it. It's kind of like I had been watching. Okay, I'm going to I'm going to let people know. Like, I've been on a huge 90s animated, Marvel animated series kick. So I started with Iron Man, and Fantastic Four, Incredible Hulk, X-Men, Spider-Man. So I was just watching.
Yeah, all the old 90s stuff.
Yes, and oh my goodness, is it just so wow. It's just so surprising. No wonder it was on early in the morning so people wouldn't ask questions about what was happening in it, Yes, and so I'm not going to go into those shows too much, except that for the time they were really well done. And anyway, so on the watch list that I've got on Disney Plus, there's What If. And so when I'm watching those, or when I was watching them, I would go to What If just to see if there was another episode. Kind of what if there's another one. So yes, I did watch the first one, and as far as I know, I was wowed. It was really well done.
Okay. Do you like the idea of Peggy Carter becoming Captain Carter and the adoption of Steve Rogers into this this Iron Man-esque type persona?
Yes. It's it's about time that we had a super soldier, because in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I guess we had female super soldiers, as it were. But in the female super soldier? Oh, spoiler warning! Warning! Turn this off if you haven't seen that yet. Hold on. Okay, so now I'll keep going. So the female super soldier is the villain.
Yeah.
Or the villain is a female super soldier, and that's about as close as we got to that sort of, I guess, realization. Or to have a woman be just as strong, if not stronger, than that beacon that Captain America is. So yeah, to have Captain Carter whooping butt all over the place.
No kidding. And it was great. Yeah. I thought there was a little bit, and again, this is kind of the problem with what ifs and stuff like that, especially with this series. It was the pacing always kind of threw me off whenever I read comics and stuff like that. But then again, you're going off of history that you already know, so you kind of have to skip the beats and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of got me a little bit. And then it's just, you don't get to delve into the explanations and explorations of the organic nature of how this thing developed. Where did Carter get the idea for the shield? Oh, it was just kind of there. You know, how did Howard, you know, think to make the Iron Man suit Mark 1? It's just, oh, it's kind of already there. You know, we already know it's been established, so you don't get that organic growth into it or the realization of it. Yes. You did kind of get an explanation with the suit when Howard was, no, it wasn't Howard. It was Steve, Skinny Steve, who made the comment, well, you know, he beats doing the publicity or the tours.
Yeah, the publicity tours. Is that what you're talking about?
Publicity tours. Thank you. And all that kind of stuff, and being dressed up like that, all, you know, with the American flag and all that, and that kind of paved the way for Carter to look how she did. So that was cool. Sure. But you know, you didn't get some of the development like with the Red Skull. He clearly wasn't, you know, the main villain of this.
No.
He was, so you kind of lose some of that. But otherwise, yeah, and it was pretty good episode to see. And one of the things with animation that I like is you can go to those extremes. Like that one point where Kara went up against the trunk and sent it, you know, above her, and kicking butt and taking names, just slamming all these guys up against the wall and stuff like that. I was like, animation allows you to have that medium where you can kind of go balls to the wall and show the real strength of Captain America. Where you can get that in the movies, but you always sort of have that, you know, it's all strings, wires, and that kind of thing. You can't do it to that extreme the way animation can do it.
Yeah, I did notice that, and especially, oh my goodness, watching some of those 90s shows, you know, and watching What If, or at least like starting with some of those, and then really watching that. It's like, it's a huge leap forward. But I was watching those 90s shows, and it's like, they could accomplish so much in those 90s, like especially in X-Men, you know, with the Sentinels.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You know, it's like, how long did we have to wait to see Sentinels, you know, in motion pictures? You know, a long time. And even then, it's like they still sort of weren't, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit, but yeah, that show. I'm thinking about like X-Men, the animated series, is just one of the best, one of the seminal, just animated series.
It's on the top list, definitely.
Yes, concerning its storytelling and its voice acting. You know, it's like as soon as I heard Magneto speak in that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm taken back to. It's just like how imposing his voice could be, just his voice, you know. And it's like that was something that I suppose wasn't in that What If episode, but what was in there, like an imposing sort of, you know, some sort of striking, you know, sort of voice or something like that, or, you know, element. But what I did, oh gosh, the moment that stopped me, like I just had to see what was going to happen. So that, what was it, the Hydra soldier gets out of the vehicle. He's huge, right? He's huge. This muscle-bound soldier. And he's, you know, doing that neck cracking thing where he's gonna teach her a lesson.
Very reminiscent of the old, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes. You know, and so he's walking up, and you think this is going to be some sort of big battle or some sort of long one or lengthy one, and she just puts him down.
That was He's like, okay, step up, bam, you're on the ground. Sorry.
Good night.
But that really was a good episode and a nice starter. And definitely, I know that the actress and the character Peggy Carter have had their series with the Captain. It's Agent Carter. Yeah. 2 episodes with that, showing a strong character. And here we are back again, showing another strong female character. So it's like, yes, win. Excellent. But I don't know did you happen to see, because I first didn't see this, the references to the tentacle thing that came out of the glowing orb portal?
I did notice it on the wall in the church.
That's the one I didn't notice.
Oh, okay, yeah, I saw that. You know, but it's like at the time, you know, I didn't know what that meant. Seeing that on the wall, you know, but then it was real. Fully realized or totally brought to the fore or brought to our attention, right?
Yeah, It's a subtle hint, to be sure. So subtle that I didn't pick it up, but I don't think I was particularly paying attention at that point. But no, there's some speculation online to possibly a reference to another supervillain, and I think we've talked about this in a previous episode, that might show up in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Okay.
And this fact that, you know, it was the tentacles coming out of the portal and the reference to the eyed creature glyph, hydroglyph, or not hieroglyphic representation, that it might be Shuma Gorath, the chaos, sort of Lovecraftian extra-dimensional creature.
Yeah. Which
makes sense, because apparently this is a creature that thrives on just chaos and instability and all that kind of stuff. And what's more unstable now, or unstable, what's more unstable now than anything is the multiverse after what happened with Loki and whatnot. So it seems like Marvel's kind of going that way for a hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, into a possible villain of Doctor Strange. So that would be cool to see him go against a Lovecraftian type creature, and the fact that Sam Raimi is actually directing it. This is the guy who's done Evil Dead series galore. I mean, how many horror movies has he done? Sure. So to have him in charge of this creature and going this way, I'm pretty excited to see that.
I do believe it's supposed to be too.
Yeah. I wish he'd come out sooner, but
hey, get that done. Hey,
yeah, no, exactly. Why are you making me wait these 2 years? Damn it!
Bunch of slackers.
Yeah, I know. But good things take time. We all know this, so I will reluctantly be patient and hopefully enjoy some good product. Which, let's face it, if it's Marvel, then it's going to be good. It may not be great, but it's going to be good and enjoyable, and I'm going to have fun. So.
Yeah, I do agree with that. As we had talked about, it's like DC sort of dropped the ball there. I mean, Marvel, it's really reliable.
Yeah. I mean, you may have your issues with some of the episodes, and then, like I said, there are some issues with this episode of What If, with pacing and stuff like that. Yeah. But you're still left with a good taste in your mouth. You're still left with a good experience.
Yes, I've been looking for more, and then concerning more. Okay, I'm gonna, because Joe Johnston, right, directed Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yes.
Right, and he also directed a film, right, for Disney way back when.
Yes, he did. It was called The Rocketeer.
Yes. How was that setup? That was
a good setup, my friend. That was a good setup. Because I have here an article from Vanity Fair with a lot of different what if ideas, story ideas that didn't quite make the cut. And apparently one of them was a crossover with Captain America and the Rocketeer. Wow. Which would have been really cool. And like you said, Joe Johnston was the director for both films. Yeah. And they're both done for Disney. So there wouldn't be any type of legal problems or anything like that. It would just been a nice homage. And again, like you'd said, it would have introduced you into something more that someone else has done. Yep. So if you're not familiar with Rocketeer, but you liked The First Avenger, hey, here's another film by this director with the same kind of aesthetic feel, even time period, that you might also enjoy too. And I think it was, I'm trying to remember the reasoning. I think it was a nice idea that they just said no to, Marvel did. Okay. I think it was too much of a crossover, comic book crossover, and they wanted to keep it strictly Marvel. So that's one thing, but still, it would have been cool. And there's nothing to say that there wouldn't be a comic book that gets published, maybe, or a story in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, that would be great. I'm just thinking about now, what if What if?
Oh, you're getting giddy.
Oh yes, I'm going to. Yes, I'm totally. As far as I know, I'm getting very, very giddy. But it's just kind of like, yes, as storytellers, as soon as you ask that question, what if this? What if that? And what I was about to ask is like, what if the Rocketeer, yeah, and Captain America, the First Avenger, and Jurassic Park 3 were put together because he directed Justin and Jumanji, right? He directed that one too. So it's like, what if we had the Johnston verse?
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Well, I remember, I can't remember the artist's name, but he would put certain characters together, like Zorro with the Rocketeer, with the Shadow, and stuff like that, and do these illustrations and stuff like that. And I just sort of his personal faves of like these pulp comic icons and whatnot. And that just, you spouting off all those different things, like the Johnston verse, just automatically made me think that. But I kind of popped off with the idea is like, well, like the Rocketeer and Captain America end up meeting. It's like they have to switch their weapons. Seeing Cap with the rocket pack and then the Rocketeer with the shield and just playing around with that is like, that would have been cool. And of course, it would have to end with Captain America with the shield and the rocket pack.
Yes.
It would have to end that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because the kid didn't want to do it anymore. It's like, okay, Cap, here it is. It's for you. He just hands it over to him, and he continues being, Captain America with the rocket pack and the shield. I thought that would just be awesome.
Yes,
and it's sort of like almost precursor or nod to the future of what happens with Falcon and Winter Soldier. It was an allusion to the future. So that would have been cool. But yeah, I mean, this Vanity Fair that's not the only Cap story they were thinking about doing. They're also thinking about the story where Captain America turns Hydra.
Oh, yes.
It was a controversial storyline in his comic book run, where his identity gets switched because someone gets a hold of a cosmic cube. Spoilers again.
And they said it afterwards. Oh, wonderful.
Well, we already said at the beginning, so that's like the whole episode long. We're going to be done with the spoilers and what ifs and all that kind of stuff. So you're already been warned.
Okay.
But no, his history gets changed to where he ends up becoming a sleeper agent for Hydra, and it looks like they were trying to do this as well. But the actual origin was going to be different. It was going to be him actually falling off the train instead of Bucky.
Oh, okay.
And then he gets captured by Hydra and gets brainwashed. But and not being remembering who he was. And then there was something to the effect, in addition to the good guy going bad, the story that had that secondary twist, a villain going good, albeit for selfish reasons, no good reasons. It's a decent concept, but it was too close to the Peggy becomes Cap storyline. So that's why they got rid of it. But it seems like this Red Skull, for selfish reasons, was going to do the right thing. So on that line, in that time period, I could say, yeah, that was too close to Cap, but or the Peggy Carter, Captain Carter story. Yeah. But no, I still would have loved to have seen like a sleeper agent Captain America. That would have been cool. And I didn't really feel bad about that Hail Hydra Captain America. I guess it would be called Captain Hydra storyline. Yeah. Well, it wasn't as controversial to me because it wasn't, they weren't erasing the history. It was someone who was manipulating their past.
Okay.
And like in comic books, it got turned back. So, I mean, you knew it was going to happen. So, I wasn't as peeved off by that decision by Marvel. So, don't at me, people. I'm just giving you my opinion. And then we have, speaking of Indiana Jones,
Okay.
I guess you're going to do the similar story as to the Last Crusade story where Indy is with his dad.
Okay.
They're going to do something like that with Tony Stark and his dad.
Oh.
And then there was another one where they're going to have sort of like a romancing of the stone in space.
Okay, Infinity Stone? Is that what you mean? Like romance?
Yeah, Infinity Stone. Yeah, romancing the stone. Well, that's how they say it in this article.
Sure.
They're going to have like a Star Wars sort of like romance adventure with Tony Stark and Pepper Potts going into space to find the reality stones, which I think would have been really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Another storyline they got rid of, and seeing as how you were just watching the Spider-Man animated series,
Okay.
they were talking about doing a what if Peter Parker had been bitten and transformed into more of a spider-esque nightmare type monster spider.
Okay, like
the man spider. Yeah.
Yeah.
That, but they deemed it possibly too scary for kids, or for a series that would be seen by kids, because I guess he was throwing off more like The Fly.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Something like that. So it's like,
Fly.
yeah. Jeff Goldblum. Yeah.
Yes.
But I said it was a little too dark, so I was like, okay, that's fine. Can I have zombies? And they said, yes, you can do zombies. This is the director of the series, or director-writer of the series, Bradley, who's pitching these ideas. Let me double check, because I can't. Yeah, director is Brian Andrews.
Okay.
Bradley's the writer, pitching the ideas. So yeah, to have that sort of like man spider-esque type monster, it was apparently going too far, but zombies are okay.
Oh yeah, great. Okay.
So, but I mean,
yeah, zombies are always just sort of okay, aren't they? Because they shamble, and it's like, as long as you don't, as long as you're just beating them up, as long as you're not depicting them or showing them, right, eviscerating a person or actually consuming a person.
Yeah,
right?
They don't get too gory. Yeah.
No.
If you get like Walking Dead, that's gone too far. But something you can beat up, that's already dead. That's like, oh, okay, fine. And if they have like little holes, I'm remembering that one clip in the trailer where it's the zombie Captain America.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. That sort of aesthetic is okay. It's he's not exposing his brain or anything like that, so that's fine. But yeah, I mean, if you still want to see that, man spider, they can always, check out the old 90s Spider-Man series and check that storyline out. So,
as you had been saying, right, you can do so much in animation or so much in cartoons that you can't do, right, in a live action series or in a major motion picture.
Yeah, definitely. And then one that was, I guess, it seems like it was just an idea that was thrown out with this long list, and not really thought through, was the noble Loki. And this what if story would have been a Loki who was worthy of lifting the Mjolnir.
Yeah.
Thor wasn't.
Yeah.
I guess some of the tricky parts was, even though that they had like so much they could do with it, how can you still keep him Loki and not change that character drastically?
Yeah.
So it seems like it was just one of those things that was thrown out there, one of those story ideas that didn't really stick very long.
Yeah.
Because it had too many holes. It would have taken away from what the people would have thought about for Loki. I loved about the character and whatnot, and changed the character drastically. So that still would have been cool to see, but I can understand why.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking about that series Loki, or that I had watched, or I guess the first season, right, of that series Loki, and to see his transformation, that took some time, like to see him, and that had to happen twice with that character. That happened twice. Like, yes, in that series, but also in the films, we had to see him, go from a vain, self-absorbed, egomaniacal, individual to a very selfish to selfless.
Yeah.
We had to do that twice. So to do that in one episode, I don't know.
Yeah, one 25-minute or 25, 30-minute episode. And if you think the pacing was really fast with something like, Captain Carter, imagine the pacing that was going to be for something like Loki. You need a couple episodes of that.
Yes.
Oh,
whiplash, what? And I don't mean
that happened quick.
I don't mean the character whiplash.
No. But yeah. So yeah, I'm interested to see, especially now with all these hints to this chaos demon god, Lovecraftian creature, to see what comes down the line. If there are any other Easter eggs or hints to Doctor Strange, and I'm actually kind of interested in see what happens with this Doctor Strange episode that they're going to do. I can't remember when it's going to happen, because the next one is going to be what if T'Challa became Star-Lord.
Yeah, I did see, or at least I noticed that in the trailer.
Yeah, so that that's going to be an impactful one, because that apparently was his last role before he died. Yep.
Oh my goodness! I had no idea, because it's like, what? Chris Evans didn't actually voice Steve Rogers in that Captain Carter episode.
No, that was actually the voice actor who played Spider-Man in the Spectacular Spider-Man series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just all Spider-Man all the time. Right? But no, I think if it wasn't his last one, I think it was his last performance as the Panther.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure, you have to look that one up, but I think that was his last performance, the last thing he did before he died. So that's gonna be kind of heart-wrenching, right there. But that is going to be fun to see how he that character does it. And then Tony Stark isn't going to be placed by Junior either. So I'm not sure. I don't know if we actually have a Chris Hemsworth Thor in here. I don't think we do.
Oh.
So I think the big three, for understandable reasons, they couldn't lend their voice, but everyone else is pretty much was available. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that is.
To see. So yeah, that's the what ifs. Good series start so far.
Yes, it is.
So let's see what else. We got some news about Anthony Mackie. He signed on to do Captain America 4, so that's a done deal.
Okay, yeah, I did see that way back when that was being talked about.
It was being talked about, but now it's official. So hooray for representation.
Yes.
And this character, I love Anthony Mackie and his evolution as the character, as the Falcon going into Captain America, and just continuing on from his arc, and the Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be great to see. And I think they're actually going to use the same writer for that series for this one. Okay. So it's not only going to be fun, action-packed, but it is going to have a message there too. Let me see here. Anthony Mackie is the only Falcon and Winter Soldier alumni heading to Captain America 4. Malcolm Spellman, series head writer and creator, will write the film script. Additional, Delan Muson, I believe I'm saying that correctly, who was a staff writer on the show, will co-write. So yeah, not only do we have the same actor, but we're getting the same writers too. So that's going to be cool.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be very excellent.
Yes, and it's very, very much going to be poignant to the times and to the struggles that we are facing out there in this society. Mm-hmm. So, and again, any story that can reflect real life and come out of it thinking, asking questions, engaging you in intelligent conversation and intelligent thinking, is always a win. So that's the sign of a good story to me.
Yes. And then also what I guess spreading the well hose, lightening the load or sharing the load, because it's like Joss Whedon, he was supposed to be responsible for what, two Avengers films, and that probably was just so much, you know,
Yeah,
for one
definitely.
individual.
And that's why I think, like, you bring up such a great point. I think why Infinity War and Endgame were so good.
Yeah.
And especially even going back to far as Civil War, Captain America Civil War, the Russo brothers. Here you have two great directors, great storytellers, and a partnership where they trust each other, and they were able to, as you said, carry the weight and split the load, cut the pie, get equal pieces of the workload, and come away with it with a great story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would love to see that. I don't think it would actually happen, but on some of these bigger projects, if you have people who work well together, respect one another, and able to work together as a team, as a partnership, and come away with it with a good story, I would love to see that in other movies, even like, things like Doom or something to that effect, just these big...
Like Doctor Doom? Is that what you mean?
Dune.
Oh, okay, Dune.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, because it sounded like Doom, and it's like, are you talking about that Rock? I guess the movie that was based off of the video game. Are you talking about like?
Oh no. Although a better director would have probably helped that movie too. But
whoa,
like these big franchises, they're trying to make these big stories, and Dune. Frank Herbert's Dune, just to clarify, has, the books alone, the one individual book of Dune is huge. And the fact that they're actually going to split that one up to two movies and stuff like that, which are probably going to be long endeavors. I wouldn't be surprised if it was over 2 hours for each one.
Oh, okay.
Because there was just so much there. Splitting up that load so that you can have a better story, I think would be a great idea.
Yes.
So,
yes, that's better storytelling. And that's what I was like, to bring in more people. And I was getting to, absolutely, totally. It's like, Joss Whedon, just him working on. Now, of course, it wasn't him doing everything in that movie, but it was his big name, that was being lauded and being spotlit or being focused upon, and so that probably did take its toll on him. And so to bring in the Russo brothers, two individuals, but to hear for Captain America 4 that they're bringing in so many people from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but just so many people to work on the same project. That's such a good idea, and that's so Marvel now, isn't it? Or it's like, that's so Marvel Studios. It's about the team, it's about the group.
It seems to be, and just not only bring in people who's worked on the project before, but can have a sort of understanding of the character, what the character is going through. The head writer is a man of color, so he is going to have a certain understanding of prejudice, having lived through that. Spellman is not going to be new to the idea of discrimination or judging a person based on their skin color. And with someone who does have that, taking on the stars and stripes, we saw it all throughout the series. That was sort of like the tone of it. It's like, how can any self-respected black man want to be Captain America and carry that flag when it hasn't done anything for them, or very, very little? So, in this regard, they're choosing someone who knows the material and has sort of that lived-in experience. Whereas you take another series like Thor, and I don't think they had the right kind of writers for those movies. Because like for the second one, the second Thor movie, they brought in the guy who wrote for not Civil War, but the second one, Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay.
So it really didn't have that feel, that sort of mystical, magical feel, almost wonder. You know, the myth, the legend, Thor. Oh,
woo! Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think it really hurt, and they didn't have like a real life reference, like for the Dark Elves, because I always associated that with the plight of the Dark Elves could have been like the Native Americans of the past.
Okay.
And sort of like this imposing imperialistic force coming in and relocating that indigenous tribe, which in this case would have been the Black Elves. And then Thor would have had to struggle. Well, I thought we were the greatest, and here I am realizing, oh, maybe it was just propaganda. Maybe I was just hearing the hype.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I think that would have been a stronger movie. But again, it goes back to writers knowing what they're talking about. With Thor, I really don't think they had the right kind of writers who knew how to write for a character like that. Whereas when you put them on something like Civil War, Winter Soldier, even Falcon and Winter Soldier, you have the right kind of people who know what they're talking about, know the subject matter.
Okay. I've got a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Who is it? And I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. But who is it? Or is it whom is it? Whom is it who does know how to write for Thor? Or at least that character, like nowadays? Because they did the first film, or I guess the first film, was produced and released, and I do believe that was really swell because it was very, melodramatic. It was very almost Shakespearean. Of course, they had Kenneth Branagh, working on it, directing it, and so he's gonna bring a lot of that with him. But then after that, it started to become very adolescent.
Especially towards the third one. And I know that the third one was a commercial success. A lot of people like it. I frankly didn't like it that much because you're right. It did got too adolescent and immature.
Yeah, it was very much comedy. Yeah. It wasn't a Thor film.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, even the humor kind of seemed misplaced. Yeah. It kind of broke up the moments, and it didn't work for me. It wasn't that really funny humor to me. I remember the one scene that strikes me is the very end scene where they're having this emotional moment with Thor finally coming to the realization, hey, I'm now the leader. These are my people, the rest of our Asgardian, and all of a sudden the moment's broken up because the alien bug decides the molt. Mm-hmm. And it sort of interrupts it. And it's like, what? It didn't work for me. Yeah. So it kind of went more to that adolescent stage. And I'm not saying that Thor can't be humorous and can't be funny, but I always felt like the right kind of writer would have known the character and known the situation. I mean, you can write Batman as comical or have funny jokes in there.
Sure, yeah, because I was going to say that would make Batman comical.
Well, this is my point. It's like you can't have Batman making jokes and cracking wise, and my bomb deterrent in my belt. And my bat belt, stop the bomb.
Get rid of a bomb.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where it kind of got my references for the third Thor movie is like it kind of got campy like the old Adam West Batman series.
Yes,
a bit.
Okay.
And the uncaring of characters. I mean, the Warriors 3 just died, and these were supposed to be friends of Thor, people were supposed to care about, and you just kill them off like it's nothing and stuff like that. So it did get kind of campy and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just going back to writing a character, knowing the character. It's like with Batman, you write for the situation to allow for humor.
Yeah.
I'm remembering like the Batman series, or the Justice League series, where it was against the Injustice Gang led by Grog and whatnot, and they're trying to get the jump. Yeah, Gorilla Grodd, and they're trying to get a jump on Batman with Clayface and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, "Oh, I brought the backup. How are you gonna stop us?" Well, he's like, "Oh, I wish I thought of that." And then bang, the rest of the team shows up behind him. It's like, "Oh wait, I did."
And it's the way he said it too. It's just like, "Oh wait, I did." He's just they had to have known that he already planned ahead.
Yeah, because it's Batman. Another reference is that Justice League movie Doom, where it was Randall Savage bringing back like Cheetah and Bane and all these other characters, and had these sort of like safeguards to go against them that they turned lethal. But I'm remembering that first fight with the Royal Flush Gang. That's what it was. And it was Batman and who was it? Green Lantern. And Green Lantern had saved his life again. And he's like, "Oh, that's another one you owe me." He's like, "Are we keeping score? Because if we are, then I'm ahead by 2." That's knowing the character and writing a humorous situation.
Yes.
That gets you to laugh, but doesn't make the character a joke. Someone like Batman. And I don't think they really had anyone for those characters that they knew how to write for him. For Thor, yeah.
I agree with you, and I don't know who it's... Because Thor just doesn't... and we're getting into, we're getting into character, right? So I'm not saying, hey, here's the instructional part of the episode, or the instructional part of the episode again. But it's like really knowing... Okay, like we had talked about, okay, what's your story about, and sort of what are your character's motivations? We talked about like heroic villains and flawed heroes.
Yeah.
But it's like knowing what your character will do and what your character won't do, or can do and can't do, and Batman just can't crack too many jokes. That's why he's got like Robin with him, since we brought up Batman, or that's why the Joker's there.
Yeah.
It's that character can do that, but to have Thor just start making really sophomoric, I suppose, that it's sounding like it's pejorative, like it's an insult, but I get why. Probably so much input from Chris Hemsworth, because it's been said like he's so funny, and that's all just him, kind of winging it and just making it up. And so that's great. Yeah, showcase that, but that nobility, it was just totally gone from that character. And that's what he brings, to the Avengers, is this kind of righteousness, and that was just not there. And then to see him, with this huge belly, and we were supposed to understand that he's got PTSD, and that he just can't face what had occurred, but it's just like to see that it was just, I know some people who are really let down by that. Yeah. Really, really let down by Thor, Love and Thunder, or I do apologize. And so, some people are kind of like, will I even go see that film? Since I brought that up, but it's like, it's just that character's core was just gone. And so he's just a totally different character. Oh my gosh. And so we could segue into, so it's like, okay, instructional. Know your characters, okay? Know what your characters are supposed to do and know what your characters aren't supposed to do. And if they aren't supposed to do something, have another character do that, and not just have that character, or I guess that main character, change or become so wildly not himself or herself or their self, just to, I don't know, just for the point of a joke or something. Yeah. Just for the point of making money.
Like that. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. It takes you out of the character.
It does. And that's just not that character anymore. And people feel cheated or something like that. And why I went, is because the same sort of thing happened with Luke Skywalker. Okay. And I guess this can be the transition into some, Star Wars talk, but really I'm just talking about character now. And even Mark Hamill, like I had been told, Mark Hamill had said, I didn't play Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. Yeah. That was like Luke's cousin or something like that, or Luke's brother. Yeah. And it
Yeah.
was like, if the actor is saying that,
Yeah.
who has portrayed this icon, right? Then something's off about that film, or something's off about that story.
And to put a sort of like disclaimer or a side note and that kind of stuff, um, it's I'm following kind of the rule of you have to know the rules before you can change them or break them or bend them.
Yeah.
It's not to say that we can never have I'm kind of thinking like with Thor, a change of character and stuff like that. And I'm kind of referencing Loki at this point, because we've gone from this character who has been this selfish, angry, narcissistic almost, and just this person who's been out for revenge, and then we get to this character who's gone through this arc, like with Loki series and whatnot. And that's an example of sort of bending the rules, but you have to know them and before you can get there.
Yeah.
Loki still at his core is that kind of selfish, self-centered, but he's kind of developed more. He still is, the master of tricks, the guy of lies and whatnot, mischief, I guess is what he is in the MCU. But there was that transition that turned him from that wannabe despot into a guy who can care about others and help others and be sort of the selfless person.
Okay. Is it all right that I offer something right here?
Sure. Yeah.
You had brought that up. Okay. Yeah. In the last episode of that first season of Loki, he and Sylvie. If we have to, spoiler, watch out. He and Sylvie, have reached He Who Remains, right?
Yes.
And he's trying to stop her from, doing what she's doing, and he cares about her so much, right? And it seems like he's so selfless, and then I just realized he's trying to save himself,
Yeah.
because she, is a variant of him and he's a variant of her. They're both Loki. And so I was just thinking, like, what I'm offering is that, like, how much did he change? Because he's talking about something worse coming.
Yeah.
But also he's really just kind of looking out for himself because he's in love with himself, in love with Sylvie, but no, like, he has changed because he sees the bigger picture.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's sort of like that bending the rule almost in this area. You're allowing the character to change, but you're not necessarily changing the fundamental core of the being, essentially. Again, with Batman, you can have the jokes and all that kind of stuff, but he's not going to be or have a humorous situation where a joke can be or a laugh can be had, but you're not going to have him turning into the Joker, and being that guy who, throws out jokes willy-nilly and trying to get a laugh out of you, all that kind of stuff. So, but going back to what you had said earlier about, who would best for Thor, who would direct it? I mean,
or write it, right? Direct.
Yeah. To direct it, or who would better understand that character.
Yeah.
And this could, I guess, be some helpful hints to people who like want to write about characters or want to get into that. It's like, well, you have to look at the source material first. Look at the comics, like all the Thor comics, and pick some of the better ones and why people like this character, what made him so likable, and whatnot. And then try to find people who are in those realms, I guess. You had said the first director, was in Shakespeare. Bond.
Yep.
Brennan. He's done plenty of Shakespeare. He knows, he knows the regalness of Shakespeare. So it made a better fit. And then you get someone who can actually, write about that sort of mystic legend type things. And with Marvel, I would say it's not out of the ballpark to go out there and find some new blood of like fantasy or myth writers, legends, and all that kind of stuff to these people who do know how to write about this stuff and bring it in and say, hey, what would you do with this character? Or someone like I had suggested, like with the second one, someone who can relate it to real world events so we can relate to it.
Yes.
Again, using the analogy for the Native Americans and the Europeans that came over, and using that sort of like as a base for that story, I think would have made it a lot more interesting, and would have come out of that story people thinking, oh, that's kind of like what we did to the Indians. Or, you know, it even gives you, it makes you think, it makes you wonder, and what they're trying to do, what they're trying to say with that, and have it reflected on our own real world experience, history, and whatnot. So I can't say, you know, by name who would best suit that,
Sure,
but just give an idea, you know, these are the types who would work better for it. So
yeah.
I think that'd be a nice tip for all you writers out there. If you want to get into fantasy, if you want to get into true crime or mystery or whatever genre, you know, do your homework.
Oh, I forgot to, yes.
Yeah, do your homework. Do your homework. You know, in regards to, just using an example for magic, some of the better magic stories or stories dealing with magic are ones that have a solid structure, a base. Here to rules. One series that pops in my head right now is the Dresden Files. Mm-hmm. It's not some guy who can just snap his fingers and show up halfway across the world or anything like that. There's a structure, almost a science. You can call it a pseudoscience, but there is a science. There are rules. Yeah. One of the things that I didn't like about the later Harry Potter movies is they kind of got away from the rules, to the point where anyone and everyone was just flicking wands, and it was just, there was no structure to it anymore. Uh-huh. So yeah, I mean, just know what you're going for, do your research, do your homework, and whether you're writing or from a structural standpoint, or even just a content, look out there and see what's available and try to get inspiration from it. Scott Snyder, who was a big DC writer, and has been responsible for some real scary horror type comics like American Vampires, and even the recent Dark Metal series, which is very, very dark. Not like in the way of like Sandman or anything like that.
I was just about to ask, Zach, do you know, did he write for Swamp Thing for a while?
Scott Snyder?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. He may have.
You know what I mean? Because I do believe for some reason, that he had perhaps done some work with that. You're talking about horror. It's like, whoa, wait a second, because I do keep up with, you know, Swamp Thing and what's going on with that character. And then you just brought up Sandman too, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
but yeah, he comes off as sort of like a horror writer-esque type, or at least a little bit darker. Yeah. But you look at some of his influences, not a horror writer to be read, you know. So it just goes to show that you have a wide range of source material to draw upon. It allows for more options and better storytelling. You like this guy's subject matter, but you like this guy's writing. Mm-hmm. You pull from all different influences to add your own and develop your own or your own style. Excuse me.
Yes.
So it sort of becomes sort of this like amalgam almost of different influences, different styles, your own voice to it. So you know, that's my service announcement for all you writers and artists out there. So like, don't limit yourself.
Yes, you know, and it's all of that comes together, you know, and do allow me to say this, all of that comes together and it creates a legacy. You know, it creates, I suppose, a history, but really like legacy. And that's something that I do believe, like the Russo brothers, that we had brought them up, they probably drew upon that where it's like when they were working on Infinity War and Endgame, so that these characters were still these characters, at least probably like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, they did their homework.
Yeah.
You know.
But even that's another great example, because they started out on that series Community, right? And that was a comedy, it was a half-hour comedy show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, developing characters and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure they had tons of experience in that series that ran for God knows how many, 5 years, I believe it was, developing their characters and coming up with the humor and the situations and whatnot. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they drew in from that experience as well as others. They weren't just all coming from, oh, hey, look at all these comics that we read and all this source material from comics. Mm-hmm. So definitely do not limit yourself.
No.
In any regard. And then going back to Snyder, I tell you, Halloween's coming up, and I like to do an episode where we're doing nothing but going through horror comics and whatnot. And Scott Snyder is definitely one I want to delve into, just because, like I said, American Vampire, he did a series with witches, Cold Witches, that I want to get through. I have it on my queue. I have yet to get to it, though. But just like 30 Days of Night and all these different type of horror comics and stuff like that. You brought up Swamp Thing, Constantine, Sandman. That series is coming up too. And that would just be a great episode to have on Halloween.
Ooh, yes, and we could do that. And then probably, this is great. So this is probably like this episode winding down. If we're talking about other episods while while recording an episode,
something to look forward to.
This one's probably done. And so thank you so much for joining us. All of you spacers out there, all of you Comic Space listeners, right, Zack?
Yes, thank you very much. Very appreciated. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun. Mm-hmm. And hope to keep on doing it.
Yeah, I know I did have fun. I was giddy. I mean, people can hear that now.
Yeah, I was giddy too. I told you before we started recording, it's like, I really want to delve into this what if comic books and stuff like that, because that's just, it's always so cool. Because again, being a writer, like I said, we're always asking ourselves, what if? With stories, what if this situation was different? What if the world was like this? What if, there was a hidden history that we didn't know about? And it's just, as a writer, you're constantly asking what if. So to delve into that and in detail, it's like, that's a good time for me.
Yes. And so something I do believe we haven't done for a little while, we do have an email address if people do need to send us any comments or questions, and that's comicspaceseries@gmail.com. And so, go ahead and chat with us, or attempt to chat with us. I mean, heck, we're going to keep talking once this is done recording. I know that.
No, definitely. But yes, I mean, if you guys have something that you want to bring to attention, or correct us if we happen to get anything wrong, any suggestions for us? We're talking. We also want you guys talking. So yes, definitely hit us up on that. We also have an Instagram space, Comic Space Series, if I remember correctly. So look for us on there. Drop a line, say hi. Any type of suggestions, feel free, because we want this to be an open conversation, not just two guys on a podcast. We want this to be a community where we can help each other out and just, like I said, we can get giddy over all kinds of things. It's a safe space to do that. So why not? What have you got to lose?